of course, getting to take a look at the fintech solutions and to what extent are they contributing to investor protection, how technology protects investments, all those very interesting aspects. And it also has a touch of the cybersecurity related matters there. As we proceed, still we shall be taking a look at that. So, what do you say there?
I mean, it's an interesting conversation to be had, right? Especially now. Remember back in the day when investors would just invest in a company, right? And not know what they're getting back, what their returns are going to be, and they're hoping that the person on ground is basically going to handle everything and just give me my books at the end of the month. But now we have actual technology that's able to investigate what the run-in, the day in, the day out is from the company, what that run-in and the run-out is. So you're able to actually say, listen, how much did I make today? Can I investigate this? How much was I input today? Especially with the AI systems now, with the technology that's been invested now, we're able to see and track, especially for transparency. Because back then you'd say, listen, I have a farm in Kavale, I put this much money, I hope by the end of the month I'm getting back this much. But now we're able to track how much this person is productive throughout the month, how much has been done, you know what I mean? So you're able to protect your investment in some sort of way. Because of technology, you're able to track his effort on a daily, which is quite important, I think, in regards to the conversation regarding investment and technology, because it's such a vast thing. We're talking about AI systems and how AI systems have come on board and how the world has completely changed. So without AI, we can't function. Before we were walking blind, but right now investors don't have to walk blind. They're able to monitor remotely. I was talking to a friend of mine recently, because we were in Ginger recently, and I was able to meet a lot of people, and this guy said what he does is investment, almost like investment PI kind of work, like investment PI, like he calls himself an investment housemaid. So in the long run, without having to step on ground, he's able to look and do that. There's actually companies that you invest in that are able to clean up for you and say, listen, this is not a viable investment, this is a viable investment, this doesn't make sense for you financially, this is how you can track how much you've been making in the month, this is how much you can track how much you've been making on a daily. It's almost like a portal where they're able, that is fed consistently the information from the day. So a person that owns a company is able to have the workers almost feed information to it daily, and it becomes an automated sort of system. So technology definitely has influenced the way in which we invest. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, actually very true, and most especially when it comes to investors that are much more well versed with the financial markets. Back in the days when people used to figure out the markets by using your own interpretation, the cumulative related aspects, using the mathematics in there. But of course, with the sophisticated technologies and developments that are coming up lately, you can actually be in position to participate in the financial markets by building the bots, the robots that can actually help you on that. Well, now, of course, still on the discussion of electronic investor protection platform, of course, it's very clear that President Yoweri Museveni is yet to launch one, and of course, this is according to the reports that are coming in from the State House in regards to that. Now, President Yoweri Museveni is scheduled, that is to launch the Uganda Electronic Investor Protection Platform, which is a portal or platform which is going to be connecting actually investors to 10 critical government ministries, and the intention of this is actually to make sure that there is limited fraud.
That would be really important for us, especially now that we're getting to a space where everything is technological. We've been talking about, I always talk about how the news predicts the weather.
Exactly.
Right, and how AI systems are taking over. Everything is cashless, is IT.
Yes.
So we have to be, and we talked about, because you're now in the IT space, you know a lot about the IT space, and we talked about this before, how people in the cybersecurity space, that is something that is so lucrative right now, especially regarding where we're going, especially for
the information
right?
age.
Yeah, so as investors, one of the loopholes they're having is, I'm investing into something, but what protects me? Especially if you're investing into something that's AI related or technology related, right? You're investing into something that's a platform that's on air. How are you able to protect yourself as an investor?
Very true.
Right? So being able to have those remediums in place to be able to say, listen, in case this happens, I'll be able to recoup my money back. In case this happens, I'll be able to get my money back. That's like banks. So we've seen banks being hacked. You've seen several businesses being hacked and tapped into because they're solely reliant.
And actually,
on
some are hacked. Some are hacked, but it's not reported because the fear of the reputation and the image that company might have before that. Now, Nakaleba said investors are supposed to do diligence before they come to Uganda. Therefore, not falling into the hands of the wrong elements. You know, several times investors are frauded. Yeah. So with this, it's not going to be as easy as that. Of course, now the ministries and agencies include the internal affairs, of course, those critical agencies that are going to be interlinked to this particular system. Internal affairs, finance and planning, ICT and national guidance, of course, trade industry, NEMA and the Kampala City Council Authority, definitely among others, according to that. Now, of course, the portal was built by NITA, Uganda and other agencies together with the private sector companies under the supervision, that is of the State House. State House Investor Protection Unit, exactly, which was undertaking this supervision. And you see, I'm getting to understand that sometimes regulations are set in the nation, but enforcement and supervision is not efficient.
And that's one of the things, I think that's a huge product of corruption because people are used to cutting corners. There's no checks and balances.
There's no checks and balances.
So thinking, listen, I'll pay for this and there's no one going to have to check me. I'll do it subpar and no one's going to check me, no one's going to call me out for this because I can just pay someone in government to do this. And that's an unfortunate thing because if we have enforcement, if we have actual laws in place that say, listen, which is why I wonder why the corruption board, I don't know if they're doing enough because I do not think they themselves have checks and balances.
And we have quite, I know the absurd thing is that we have quite a lot of corruption units in this country. I mean, different agencies that are fighting corruption. Of course, they have a regulator, an overall peak body, but it's not about, it's okay to have institutions and what we call a structure, but once that structure is not streamlined in nature, you know, you can have a structure, but how streamlined is that structure?
It could be streamlined, but how enforced is it? If we are enforcing that streamlined structure, because what we're good at is putting laws in place, but who is enforcing those laws at every level? From the grassroots level to the minute level, we need to understand who is putting these laws in place to make sure that these things are actually enforced. And also we're looking here at one of the data analytics, right? That technology can help investors analyze large and complex databases and identify market trends, hidden opportunities, and portfolio performance. Data analytics can also help investors access the risk and uncertainty, right, of different investment products. So this allows investors to be able to say, listen, I do not know about this product, it's not been tested, it's uncertain, how is it on the market, how well is it doing, especially in the Ugandan market, being able to understand the sphere that you're in, that allows investors to be able to protect their money a little bit, since we are talking about investor protection.
Investor protection. And of course, we get to realize that one of the key successes for any for development of any country, it calls a lot to having a well-established financial center, and of course that's the financial in the financial markets in that space. And this can only be essential when there is of course massive investment into the country, as the people buy the stocks and shares in these companies, and they give these companies much more access to capital to invest in technology and research, and definitely this will inspire improved productivity and global competitiveness. But only this can happen once investors feel safe in a country, that they can actually put their money and go ahead to list that company on the securities exchange as a result of that. Now, still just to proceed on this report, President Museveni established the IPU, in his unwavering commitment to create a conducive environment for investors by safeguarding them from corrupt practices and unnecessary bureaucracies. Now, the unit was officially announced on May 1st, 2023, during the Labour Day celebrations that were held in Namutumba, that is the district headquarters. Now, since its inception, the IPU has made significant strides in its mission to safeguard interests of the investors, and the unit, according to its official website, has registered over 20 investor complaints, and 90% have been resolved, and 10% have not actually been have been referred to as respective. Have been referred to the respective agencies. In other words, those agencies that are quite responsible. So you can see we clearly need these. Safeguard investors, encourage more investors. What I like about Mauritius is that actually Mauritius, Ethiopia, these are countries that have adapted the Asian style of industry structures, and it has really worked out for them because there is the government agencies enforce the required laws in accordance to how they were stated, and giving the serving the punishment to that person that has gone against the law. I mean, sound policies, and this definitely is part away from the aspect of the electronic investment, but it shows you how investor protection is quite key for you to ensure that you will have smooth flows.
Which is quite interesting. And regarding Mauritius, one of the things we're talking about is product governance, is where you're able, technology is able to help you understand and curate what kind of products are best for that kind of market, right? So you're not just throwing in and say, oh, Uganda is this, let's throw, let's say what, Bitange just throughout, right? For Uganda. In Nigeria, you can say yes, Bitange makes a lot of money, but in Uganda, you have to be able to curate and understand what products work for the country, what product works for the market, and let's push that. So with technology, it's able to help you with analytics assess what works for the country and what are people craving for and what is the most demanded for. That is why technology is important for investors. You're able to have, with analytics, understand that this country is craving this. They're huge in agriculture, they're huge in food, they're huge in restaurants. So can I set up a restaurant and can I invest in restaurants in Uganda? Can I invest in textiles? Do I invest in the clothing industry? Is that a space that is needed based off of what the AI has been able to curate for you, especially what Mauritius has been able to do? What do people want when they go to Mauritius? They're mostly going tourist destinations, tourist places, tourist spaces. So it's able to, an investor investing in Mauritius is able to say, should I invest more in the tourist industry? Should I invest more in the fisheries industry, in the agriculture industry? It allows you to be able to curate. It curates for you how you can best invest. I think that's an important thing in terms of investor protection.
Absolutely true. Well, it's exactly 15 minutes past 7. Let's take, at this point in time, let's take a look at what's happening in the press. Of course, to kick start off here with the Daily Monitor, incest cases stall passport insurance. And of course, the Internal Ministry, the Internal Affairs Ministry says it is a bit stuck with processing at least 80 passport applications due to incomplete information that is provided by the applicants that are children begotten by close relatives. Now, of course, again, still here, if we can see a man shows up for passport application. Oh, with the snake in the bag, this was quite huge. And government scraps visa fees for all Congolese nationals.
Obviously, that's what's happening in the Daily Monitor. As we can see in the New Vision National News, one of the things that are standing out, we see here 2,200 workers to lose jobs in rationalization program. You can find that on page 3 of the New Vision. And obviously, we see First Lady Lords Huawei for fostering ICT in institutions. And another thing that's standing out is mergers. Government to pay affected staff. She's 80 billion Uganda shillings. We're getting into that more and more in the New Vision.
Okay. Now, of course, 3 billion Ugandan shillings vehicles for former speakers of parliament. Of course, it's been making rounds since yesterday. And of course, the Democratic Republic of Congo campaigns end ahead of tomorrow's poll. You can really find that out. And I'm seeing something traders counting losses in Chihuatule here as locals and fire brigade personnel here fighting to put out the fire that actually GOAT. That is very absurd, most especially in such a time as we're heading to the festive. Losing such.
Is that a continuation from the fight that happened with the big arcade? It's a different arcade altogether.
Close to
Yes.
To Church House.
Yes.
The building.
Yes.
No, this is in Chuatle.
That's crazy how
that was in the city center.
That's why we have to keep trend, and I always tell people to be cognizant of these things. We have to keep trend of what's happening. Now the fires are starting to happen with the kids.
Fires.
It's starting to happen in businesses. It's affecting businesses, affecting business owners, which goes back to the conversation of insurance. Are you insured? Do you have enough insurance for your business to make sure in case of liability, in case things happen like this, are you insured? And in other conversation, obviously, we talked about the Ministry 6. She's 880 billion for it. Sorry, she's 80 billion for staff compensation. You see here, the Ministry of Public Service is seeking 80 billion to compensate over 2,000 staff that are set to be laid off by the government after the rationalization and merger of several public agencies. Which is an interesting conversation over there. And we also see the Kazinga Channel voted Uganda's best attraction.
Okay, beautiful. Court to rule on anti-gay law on notice. Of course, you find that out. That's when you grab yourself a copy on the Daily Monitor, as you find out further details. Panic at 50 Kamali schools as sponsor leaves. Actually, we have schools that are hugely relying on sponsors, donors.
Yeah. And some of the things we talked about is about foreign aid and how that is such a scary place for us to be when we're hugely reliant on that. As a country, as an institution, on a domestic, on a national level, it affects us in the end because look at what's happening when the sponsors.
Yeah, this is a huge number of now, 50 schools.
Over 50 schools.
So imagine people that are going to lose employment, that have been earning income, some are going to be laid off.
It's completely uncertain.
Their salaries are going to be cut. The future of these children, and we know that education is one of the key aspects for any development of any nation. That is something you can't skip. You can't skip.
It's crazy. And we also see here transport fares increase ahead of Christmas for all those that are planning to travel this week, because I know everyone is waiting for the last. Is the money coming in this week? It's the last week before you travel to Christmas. You promised your mom this much, you promised everyone this much, and it's kind of scary. We see here that scores of passengers in Kampala were left grumbling over increased fares as a rush to travel, of course, to up country for Christmas gained momentum yesterday, of course, with taxi pairs plying the long routes 150 kilometers and more increased fares by 10,000 shillings. That is a lot of money. How much does it normally cost to go to Mara?
Mara, actually, I'll be honest, I've not traveled there, but I'm told it's within about, it's in the range of 50,000, 60. So right now you could be traveling there for 70,000, 80,000.
Right now is the worst time to travel, because if you pay 50 before and you're used to going back and forth on the weekend, you're definitely going to feel duped. If you're a person who's going there for the first time in a long time, you might not feel it, but you have to.
If it's going there for the first time, true.
10,000 shillings is what? 10,000 shillings is how many kilos of sugar too?
It's about one.
Right now with the
claim,
it should be 3 something.
Yeah.
Kilo of sugar now is about 6. Yeah.
6, and depending on the place where you do, some people operate differently. Some don't pay taxes.
Yeah.
So, well, actually, with the transport fares within, and people traveling within, they'll increase a little bit, 1,000, 2,000.
Yeah.
But of course, it's going to be for only, in most cases, it's only for that day towards Christmas. All right, now taking a look here, former IGG asks lawyers to be ethical. So you find that out and see that. And put integrity first. Because this is an advice to the graduates.
Right.
Yeah.
And we can also see here the national news, accountants tasked on integrity. So we see here the Minister of State for Higher Education, Dr. John Chrysotom Muyingo, has challenged accountants to always observe ethical standards and expose high integrity, saying this is a key to their career success and national development.
All right, at this point in time, let's take a look at our traffic report here. Of course, this is Ginger Road. Is it? Looks like. This is Wandega. We're at Wandega, as you can really observe the traffic atmosphere, how it is happening there. I'm going to remember, if I'm asking you, how was the jam as you were coming your area? Did you find any little much of a congestion? Or it seemed a smooth flow with it.
Interesting. This morning was quite smooth.
Yeah.
I mean, coming because normally I'm always complaining about Access Road. If you've known me on the station, I'm always talking about our Access Road, and it's being constructed. They're trying to work on it. I can see the work, government. So do not think I'm always complaining, but there is a difference. I can definitely see a little bit of a smidge difference. In terms of the movement, it's much better.
The movement,
on the railway section. I realize Access Road is access to other sections of the place. You have Mukwano coming in, you have the railway coming in, you have all these guys sort of dive from Kawalagala, from Muyenga, all sort of lead into that space. So that's changing. So the road wasn't as busy this morning, but we are getting into the Christmas season. I bet people are sort of wrapping up their affairs. I don't know, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's improving because I've been there to cover the traffic report, and yeah, it's actually improving really quite a great deal. Let's expect much more better, because that roundabout, the potholes in there were very, they played a big role in terms of contributing to the congestion. Of course, now as we head back to Wandegea side, you can see the road that heads to Kampala, that is Kampala Road, heading to the city center. It's quite heavily. You can see quite a huge number of vehicles heading there. Because remember, some are coming in from Bomba Road, some are coming in from Molago side, you know. So you Hamocha area, so they're all feeding all that road, the Kampala Road. So that definitely explains why you see that congestion around that particular place.
Is that interesting? Yeah, I think it's crazy because we are getting into that space. It is a Tuesday morning, right? So people are wrapping up affairs, but if it's only 7:22, 24, I bet you that road, especially that road, gets really busy around 8.
And later on, definitely 8:30, it's going to be much more busy.
To be halted
exactly.
By 8 a.m. It's definitely going to become really, really busy. So if people are planning to move right now along those areas,
would be the best way.
In from Mengo, from Rubaga, then people coming from the other side of town. Kasubi, Nakulabye. So
yes, those
this
sides.
is the best time to be able to use that road. Of course, the borders are always busy, as we know.
Okay. All right, so that is the situation, how it is standing at like there at the Wandegea route. You know, let's first observe the Bomba Road. Now this one connects people from areas like Matuga, Maganjo, normally link up to this particular route, and you can know really, and it's normally inflated with public vehicles, taxis. Of course, explaining the congestion, the nature of those areas are highly congested, and
heavily congested, heavily busy.
And
people's people that stay in Boise and all those areas, I don't know how.
And people's incomes are not the best, so they rarely can they afford.
You're taxis, right? You're vigilant in a taxi, and a taxi has to stop at every time.
To stop at it, exactly.
Before you get to your actual destination.
Yeah.
So it's not favorable enough, especially if you're trying to catch that. And on top of that, with the jam that's potentially coming, and especially now that we're in the space where people are wrapping up their time for the year. It's the 19th of December, so everyone is on their P's and Q's. People have those yearly reviews that are coming up. People also have their monthly reviews. So they're in a rush to make sure that they do their best to please their bosses or supervisors.
Beautiful. All right, that is the situation, like how it's starting at the Wandegea traffic lights. It's quite not yet congested, but later on we believe it will get worse. So whatever, if you are staying within those areas or any areas that you're very sure that they are going to link you to that particular junction, it's high time you actually started to make your journey at this point in time, because it might only take you about 5 minutes if you reach that area for you to get to your destination. Otherwise, once you get late, it will transit from 5 minutes to 30 minutes, and I don't think that would be the best idea for an entrepreneur, most especially in such a time where there is increased demand, and the faster you can avail the product to your customer, you stand a higher chance of winning that customer. Well, let's take a break for now. It's exactly 7:27, and when we return, we have Caribbean, East Africa, and international updates into the pipeline. Stick around.